It's time. Week 3 of the JPDL predictions are here right now. And I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry I got this video out to y'all late, but there were a lot of trades during the midweek that we couldn't predict what was going to happen until they finished. And a whole new scheme that we will talk about when we get to it. Also, a brand new segment to the show known as the JPDL Tell, where we take 5 random social media comments and we give you all a live, reaction to it, live opinion. If it's a question, I'll answer it. If it's a statement, we'll react to it. But without further ado, let's get straight into it with the Thursday night JPDL game to start. Starting off with the Thursday night football JPDL game, we have the number 4 Philadelphia Frauds taking on the number 9 Boston Baller brand. You should be looking at the lineups right now, and there are a lot of differences to Philly's team. I think Philly really took their loss last week and, took it to the chin, obviously, and just said, you know what, we're going to make some moves, we're going to change our team up, and we're going to find a way to get some great players who can really provide and be assets for them right now. Looking at the keys to the game now, we have 4-3. Philly is 4-3 against Boston, all right? And Boston, they have a history of being a winning franchise. Maybe not now, but they had a history of being a winning franchise. So to be 4-3 against them, that's actually quite the achievement with an overall average score of 125 to 123, a 2-point difference. So these are always a close game. Philly, Boston, those are always going to be close. Both teams need to win bad. James Ball coming off of a real big loss, and Philadelphia coming off of a upset victory that they were the favorites to win and just simply lost. And I'm not going to lie to you, I feel like Philly's going to pull this off with ease. I think Boston Baller Brand's team is nowhere near as it was before, but Philly's new additions, these are players who are going to have to provide for them right now. Have the Lions backfield, have Malik Neighbors. I had the pleasure of getting to scout him live and in person, and he was every bit of what I thought he would be. And to have him on your team like that, coming in, new organization, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, even Pat Freiermuth, that's his new tight end one. It's different. It's definitely different. But, Philly might need different right now. So that's the keys to the game. Let's move on to the next 1 o'clock game. Going into the 1 o'clock games, also known as Mills Hour, we have the number 7 Las Vegas Hurdlers going up against the number 3 Washington Kickball team. Looking at the rosters right now, Washington's coming off of a stellar performance, putting up the most points ever in this season, 160-something, I believe. And, Jordan Love is looking like he's coming back. Jordan Love is looking like he is on pace to come back within 1 week. When we thought it was going to be a 4-week IR stint, which is kind of like the theme of these whole teams, but we will get to that. As for Las Vegas, they're ready to really show a push. They're ready to really prove themselves as a top team and really boost their rankings because, every week Las Vegas has a problem with the rankings. Now let's go to the keys to the game, all right? This is the first top 7 ranked team that Las Vegas will have ever played this season. They went up against the number 8 team last week, and they went up against the number 10 team the week 1. If that's not a cause of concern as to why his ranking isn't as high as it should be in Las Vegas' eyes, I don't know what it is. But this is a perfect place to prove it. Coach Mills, you're 6-1 against Coach Luther. Las Vegas is 6-1 all time against Washington Kickball team. So clearly, Las Vegas has something in the playbook, whether they're watching film heavy, whether they see some weaknesses in Washington's game. They know a strategy or some way of just pulling out the victory and getting the dub. Obviously, like I said before, this all comes down to injuries, man. This is both these two teams' theme right now, all right? 7 questionables in the starting lineups combined alone, and 7 PUP/IR players on both teams combined. I mean, this is insanity of injuries hitting both of these teams, hitting the whole league entirely also. But these two teams, they're getting the real, hit of it all. I'm not going to lie to you. Isaiah Pacheco being the most recent one. They're doing the best of what they have. That's why depth is really important in this league. And I honestly, personally have Washington Kickball team taking this win in an easy victory. This is going to be a 1 o'clock matchup. That's all I'm going to say. Let's go on to the next game. For this next game, we have Atlanta Juicers number 1 versus the number 10 Dallas Lax Bros. In other words, a game that will not be tuned into, probably less than the game last week, all right? Looking at the lineups, you can clearly see why I am saying what I am saying, all right? Atlanta Juicers took on the number 2 team last week and beat them by 5 points. Atlanta Juicers took on New York franchise, who New York actually has a 500 record against them, or at least they did. until 2 weeks ago when, Coach Big B and the Atlanta Juicers took over. And the same thing will apply to here. Looking at our keys to the game, there are none. This is a lock. This isn't a key. This is a lock. All right. Lock it in. They're not even giving you the betting money for this game. They locked money line Ethan Bigby. They money lined, locked the Atlanta Juicers for this game because they know, no, this game is not, there's no way in history that this game does not end up putting Atlanta Juicers at 3-0 and putting Dallas Expos at 0-3. The over-under for this game is 205, and I do see it being a 135-70 game. I do. I don't even know why I'm still talking about this game. We already know how this is going to turn out. Let's go to the next game. Going into this next matchup, we have the number 6 Vice City Business taking on the number 8 New York 67ers, a rivalry that is brewing in the JPDL. These two teams once were owners of New York teams, one in Brooklyn, one in New York. But obviously a rebrand changed all that with Coach Montague going down to Vice City, as well as, unfortunately, Coach Diaz staying in New York, being the only hope for New York football. And I'm not going to lie, looking at these rosters right now, this is actually a pretty tough matchup. I don't think it's an easy win for Coach Montague, even though he is the better ranked team. But I do believe that he will pull it out simply for these keys to the game. Starting off with number 1, Chris is 3-1 against Coach Montague in the Dynasty era. And I feel like the Dynasty era is a big statistic because, there's the same rosters, the same crews, nothing changed, nothing different. Dynasty era is important when looking at projected games for this year. So to be 3-1 against Coach Montague, I mean, that's a big deal, but we saw the rosters. Coach Montague will want to obliterate the RB1 and the RB2 matchup extremely. We're talking about Breece Hall, Kyron Williams for Vice City, taking on Ty Chandler and Jerome Ford for New York. All right, this is a game that will come down to that matchup and how badly Vice City is able to exploit that matchup, in my opinion. But the most important key to this game, do the New York players even believe in the program anymore? If they're already saying, we're ready for 2026. We're playing for 2026. Then what are they playing for today? Why are they even stepping on Vice City court? Why are they even stepping on the Vice City's field for? Right? The coach is saying 2026. Dang, it's 2024, coach. It's 2024. You've been saying 2020. You've been saying 2 years every year. Since 2017, it's 2019. When it's 2019, it's 2021. When it's 2021, it's 2023. I hear it all the time. I want New York football. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So that is going to be the predictions for the Sunday night football game. Let's go to the last one. Going into the Monday night matchup, it is one of the most intense rivalries in the JPDL. All right, it's why it was scheduled for Monday Night Football, because this is Chiefs-Bengals level, Chiefs-Bills level matchup play. We have the number 2 Los Angeles Flames taking on the number 5 Toronto Mystics. And you're looking at the rosters right now. This is firepower on firepower. After, the whole rankings came out after week 2, there was some controversy as to whether Los Angeles Flames even deserve to be number 2. And if Toronto Mystics, after, having upset victories 2 weeks in a row, belong at number 5 and not somewhere in the top 4. It's going to be an intriguing matchup, to say the least. Going into the keys to the game, we have a 5-5 total record against each other, all right? This is a battle, a rivalry, strong as ever. I'm talking about they don't even talk to each other. The coaches never meet before the game, never talk during the game, don't even meet after the game, all right? That's how big of a rivalry this is, all right? The jumbo package. We've been wanting to see this in 300 attempts. 300 lineups have been put out on a JPDL field, and not one of them in the Dynasty era have been a jumbo package consisting of 3 tight ends at the flex position, plus a tight end in the tight end position. That's what you call the jumbo package, and that is what Toronto Mystics is doing. For the first time ever in the JPDL, they will be debuting the quadruple tight end package. How do you even scheme for that? I've never seen it before. This is unprecedented territory that I am going into. And not only am I going into unprecedented territory, I'm going in with 4 new players in my starting lineup and 3 new players on my roster that are being bolted into my starting lineup. I don't know how I'm going to be able to take this on, all right? We have Drake London, Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Likely, and DK Metcalf all making their debut in the starting lineup. That wasn't last week. I just realized DK played in week 1, but DK did not play in week 2 when he went off. So DK will be looking to definitely show it up in week 3 and really have a performance similar to that. But this is going to come down to one thing and one thing only, that it always comes down to when it comes to these two. It's going to come down to coaching. It's going to come down to coaching. It always comes down to coaching. I'm going to be real. I do see Los Angeles Flames coming out here and winning this game. Simply off the fact that it's me, so I really can't not say me. But I'm very intrigued to see the first ever jumbo 4 tight end package in JPDL Dynasty League history. So just to summarize all of the matchups that I had just recently talked about, for Thursday Night Football, I will be taking the number 4 Philadelphia Frauds over the number 9 Boston Baller brand. For 1 o'clock, I will be taking the number 3 Washington Kickball team over Las Vegas Hurdlers, who are sitting at the number 7 spot. 425, why am I even talking about this? Give me the number 1 versus the number 10. Atlanta Juicers easily pulls it off against Dallas Lax Bros with ease. Just sit back, relax, and have yourself a cold one, for that game. Sunday Night Football between Vice City and New York. This is where we get into the rivalry night football games. I have Vice City taking this, although I do think New York can put up somewhat of a challenge. But, New York, it's about whether they believe in your program, sitting at rank number 8. So I don't know. Vice City, you're sitting at number 6. So, it's close. It's close. Lastly, for the Monday Night Football game, I do have Los Angeles beating Toronto in a pretty close game. I think that Los Angeles, under Coach Fitzgerald, will find a way to scheme against the 4 tight end set jumbo package that will, ultimately be debuted for the first time in this game. So I'm really psyched to see this, but before we finish this video, we have to go into the JPDL tell. So like I mentioned earlier in this video, midweek, I told y'all to post on social media your comments for hashtag JPDL tell. We will pick 5 of them and we will read them aloud, answer them, or just react to them. So here we go. Coming on with the first one, we have LA Jack 376 saying 2 games with just plain bad decision making from the head coach, but somehow Travis and Terry take the blame. Interesting. I feel like Coach Fitzgerald has made it clear that he is taking responsibility for the fact that he made bad decisions with Terry and Travis, and they didn't perform well. They put up duds, so why are we blaming the LA coaching staff for? This one is from @Downtown Dave saying it's only been 3 weeks and New York has already declared we're rebuilding for next year. Gotta love the ownership. Hashtag done with Diaz. Hashtag JPDL tell. Listen, Dave, I'm going to be real. I think it's time that you just go to Vice City. I mean, Vice City, the coach did, he played in New York for a little bit. You could somehow convince your friends like, hey, I was with Coach Montague back when he was Brooklyn. I just had to follow him to Vice City. You could do that because New York, oh man, New York, I don't see no playoff win in 8 years. I don't see it. This next post is from @user724532881 saying 2 straight wins for the Hurdlers. Clap emojis. Coach Mills in consideration for JPDL Coach of the Year. Yeah, this has to be Mills' burner. I'm not going to lie. This has to be a Las Vegas burner account. Our fourth one says, @number1 Lions fan, hashtag JPDL tell, just woke up to Sam Laporta being a Toronto Mystic. But don't they already have 3 other tight ends? Yes, they do. And apparently they wanted one more. They wanted to complete the quadruple, and, for Los Angeles and me, it's going to be a tough game for us. But, it's really exciting to see the JPDL finally, you have 3 tight ends. I think that's going to be amazing to see. And I'm intrigued to see what results come from that. Last social media post for the day says TX Texan 479. Always love a good Texas team, but maybe this game should be left off all TV broadcasts. Hashtag Dallas 2026. All right, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, these have to be aired every week. Unfortunately, every game has to be aired. That's JPDL protocol. But if one game didn't have to be aired, it would definitely be this game because this game is going to be a blowout. There you have it, folks. The end of the JPDL Week 3 predictions. I can't wait to see what happens at the end of this week. I think this one is going to really mess with the power rankings going into Week 4. So I'm excited. I hope you are. And let's get this week going.